One of the things I thought was really fascinating about the piece you had in The Australian yesterday was about the way that all of these proposals, and you spoke about Paul Keating's Redfern speech and all of these other Whitlam moments, deny agency to Indigenous Australians and make them perpetually helpless. Before we talk about the current voice proposal, can you just walk us through a little bit of that?
Well, I think, it was really, that Redfern speech was a very pivotal moment, I think, in terms of the way the nation feels now for white Australians, for non-Indigenous Australians. Keating really basically held white Australia to account for our nation's historical wrongs, and then took away all responsibility from Indigenous Australians to actually be responsible for our own lives. Said, you know what, it was all our fault. We're the ones that took the children away. We're the ones that, that damaged culture. All of these things was because as a result of white Australia. Now, it probably would have been better if, if it was put to the governments of those days, but his speech really generalised about who it was, who he thought it was that had done this to Indigenous Australia. I'm sure there's plenty of non-Indigenous Australians sitting around going, hang on a second, I haven't done anything. I've simply, gone about my life, my day to day. My family goes back generations. But it was a really defining us and them moment in that particular speech, I feel, and which is that white guilt that has been held by white Australians ever since. I mean, I've confronted people regularly who have tried to say to me, oh, but we did this to you and we did that to you. I said, well, did you personally do these horrible things to me or to Aboriginal people? I don't think so. So, you can't take responsibility for something you didn't do. That guilt politics really actually makes for stagnation. It doesn't help to solve any of our issues. It's really disempowering for both that person taking all that responsibility, because there's nothing they can do with it, and for Indigenous Australians in terms of our agency. And this, coupled with welfare dependency, has been really part of our demise going forward. This idea that somebody else is going to fix things up for us is really been part of our demise. And this idea of a voice, I think, again, lends itself to a continuation of how things have not helped us all this time.
Well, one of the things I would love to hear more about, Jacinta, is the genuine issues, the consequential issues that the community is dealing with. The fact that we've got Indigenous women 35 times more likely to be hospitalised due to domestic violence than non-Indigenous women. I want to hear Albo talk about that. I want to hear the Prime Minister, the Cabinet tackle that issue. That will save lives. But now they've got rid of the cashless welfare card, and we're already hearing reports of a surge in violence and lawlessness sparked by that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, it seems like common sense, right? If we actually tackle the issue of domestic and family violence within Indigenous communities, we would see a dramatic drop in the rates of incarceration, which is another issue that certainly, people like Albanese and the side of Labor like to talk about, the injustice of the high rates of incarceration. Well, they forget that the number one reason why we have such high rates of incarceration is because, Indigenous Australians commit violent crimes against those they love, those, we're family. And like I've said publicly, I've been related to perpetrators and victims in these circumstances. So if they chose to actually focus on these issues, they'd be able to reduce rates of incarceration. When it comes to the Northern Territory at the moment, if they were to reinstate the laws that put in the alcohol bans, we wouldn't have this horrible situation that we're currently confronted with, which is fueling alcohol-related violence, which is fueling incarceration rates. And the cashless debit card, a mechanism which was used to protect the most vulnerable. I mean, we've got communities who are absolutely screaming out, please don't take this away from us. And to think that the Labor government are proposing, no, we need a voice to tell us what to do. So therefore, they're going to ignore these voices that are screaming out right now, saying, please don't take this away from us. We need to make sure our children are fed, that we can maintain our welfare payments so that our alcohol addicted and gambling addicted relatives can't simply strip us of what little we do have. I just find it absolutely appalling. I find it outrageous, and I just find it disgusting that they just won't listen to these voices as they are now. So it does not give me faith at all that this new proposal is somehow going to be the magic wand that solves all our problems.
Senator Price, you are the voice, and Australians of all persuasions, political persuasions, should be listening to you. But above all, the coalition should be behind you 100%. Senator Jacinta Price, thanks so much for coming on Outsiders, and keep up the fantastic work that you do for Indigenous Australia and for all Australians. Thanks so much. We'll speak soon.